Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Ravi Study Physio. So in the series of medical physiotherapies, laws and ethics. So the next topic is organ transplantation. So let's understand about how you can write university examination for good marks. So let's introduce about what is the introduction of organ transplantation. Is an ethical law interest with patient through donor or recipient care, rehabilitation and adhere to India regulation like the Transplantation of Human Organ Tissue Act THOTA 1994. So a transplantation of the different organ like liver and kidney with donor to recipient is to be like legal into our India, but you have to be a relation with your and recipient to the donor. So that comes under the Transplantation of Human Organ Tissue Act, which is THOTA Act, and come regulate which year in 1994. So common transplantation organ is to be kidney, liver, heart, lung, pancreas, and cornea. These have to be transplanted organ. Deconsole donor. What is the meaning of deconsole donor? So donor is no more is the required brainstem death certification for 4 doctor with family consent, no commercial cell allow. So deconsole donor it is that the patient have to be die, and after that there is a blood group is matched to the recipient, and on that time the 4 doctor signature and consent is mandatory if the attender and family member is not over there. So it will be sorry, brainstem death certificate also available for such patient, or legal death certification for the recipient take their particular organ. Next is to be living donor. So limited to near relative, spouse, parent, siblings, grandchildren. For approved non-directional donor, it received authorization, community security to prevent organ trafficking. So living donor is to be have to be only mandatory for our relatives like siblings and grandchildren, or also the parent. It is non-directional donor, it required authorization. So having in Indian constitution they have right to say or like transplant the organ for legalized in our India with their such relatives. And also for the like security purpose, you have to be not share your organ to other person, they have no any kind of relationship with them. Types of transplantation. First is to be autograft. Autograft is to be transplantation of one part of the body to another part, such as skin graft. So if your skin is burned in your face, so you can take the skin by your like thigh region. So it is the autograft. Next is to be xenotransplant. Xenotransplant is to be transplant where the donor is an animal and recipient is to be human. So and that is the one example is to be penicillin. The pig insulin is to be excrete out and send into the human insulin to reduce the glucose sugar level. So that is a xenotransplant. Also is to be allotransplant, transplant between 2 people who are not genetically identical. So a person who have no genetic identical, they have cousins with each other, so they can transplant their organ with each other. First, next is to be isograft. Isograft transplantation between identical twins. A same mother, same father have deliver up 2 identical twins, so they can share the organ with each other. Is to be isograft. Type of organ donor. First is live donor transplantation, done with live donor for kidney, liver, skin, bone, and bone marrow. So a patient have to be not die and recipient have to be not die. So both donor and recipient have to be live and share such organ like kidney, liver, and skin, bone. So not uh, like take against any rule, like broken breach the rule against the Indian constitution, and you have to not much more earn money about sell their organ by the organ trafficking, to prevent organ trafficking. And blood donation in this recipient and donor should be closely related, so everyone should donate the blood. So if anybody have some need for the blood, so you can say about that. Brain dead donor. So alive due to the beating heart, but brain dead is example to heart, kidney, and liver, pancreas. So patient have to be completely on the bed, and like take one example is to be cancerous patient and have to be share such organ like heart, kidneys, and lung to the good healthy person for live their life. Next is to be cadaver. Cadaver is a when donor die very recently due to any accident, organ which have to be harvested with few hours, and cornea, skin, bone, and cartilage. So any patient who have to be any road traffic accident and have to be die, so on that time attender and like family guardian take a consent form and sits here like transplant their organ like kidney and skin and bone with fully rule and regulation after into the dead body. Next is to be swap transplant. Swap transplants when two donors are swapped with their matching blood groups. Recipient, the original recipient donor are misfit due to the different blood group but are closely related. When two different blood group patient is there, a donor and recipient, but they have to be need to the like transplant to the like one example is to be kidney, which is very essential. So on that time, there is a transplantation is known as swap transplantation. Next transplantation is domino transplant, a unique approach to organ transplantation in which one patient organ is used to replace another and the removed organ is then transplanted into the third recipient. The process typically involves a chain reaction. So unique approach to organ transplantation is to be the patient organ is used to replace another and remove organ then transplanted into third person. So if first person have to be like have to be die and share him their organ into the second one and second one have like have to be not like properly like survival rate. So at that time the third person take their such organ into the second one to domino transplantation is to be chain transplantation also known as. Next is to be primary donor, a person donates an organ as usual the liver or kidney to patient is need, so that is known as primary donor. Next is to be the Transplantation of Human Drug Organ Tissue Act, which is THOTA Act. The organ transplantation in India is governed by the Reboot legal framework aimed as a balancing medical need with ethical consideration, which article examines the legal and ethical aspect of organ transplant. So it regulated by the government of the Transplantation of Human Organ Tissue Act, which is very essential for the prevent the organ trafficking. Persistent challenges. What kind of challenges if organ transplantation is to be there? First is organ shortage. There is a huge variety population in there in nowadays, so there is a need of organ transplantation because they have such kind of accident, such kind of like burn or any incident they have to be lost their organ. So on that time organ shortage is there, so demand for organ for exceed supply with living donor accounting for the most transplant cadaver donation remains rare, hindered and culture barriers. So organ shortage is to be there because they have to be trafficking of organ into the black and by the cadaver body of the dead body is to be organ shortage. Next is to be illicit trade. Illicit trade is a report of illegal organ trade. Continue often involve the vulnerable population having economic disparity and cross-border intermediaries. So illicit trade is to be have to be share such organ for one country to another for relieve their person life and for the economical support over there. Next is to be ethical dilemmas. So what is ethical dilemmas is to be determining genuine altruism versus concern to unrelated donors remain complex. The term law and affection as justification for donor and particularly consider. So if patient have love and affection towards any person and have to be share such organ, so they have an ethical dilemmas to such a form or such consent form to the Indian Constitution for send their organ towards the person with they have no any close relationship and relatives to each other. Next is to be ethical aspect of organ transplantation. First is autonomy. Donor must give informed and voluntary consent towards the recipient or higher authority. Next is to beneficence. Transplant must benefit to the recipient. Non-maleficence is to avoid harm to the donor and recipient. Justice, fair allocation organs. Fair allocation is to be such a good manner or healthy organ you have to be transplant to the recipient. Next to be ethical issue of organ transplantation. Organ shortage, demand exceeds supply, ethical dilemmas with allocation. So needy person have to be like that, but they have a rich and high amount of money, so they have to be like gain organ very fastly. Organ trafficking, there is ethical issue. Illegal buying and selling of the organ. Exploitation of the poor population. So poor population have to be lack and crisis to the organ, and the high amount of rich people they can easily buy the organ and selling over there. Next is to be consent. Consent is voluntary and informed consent is essential. So it is very the patient have to be die and there is no any kind of guardian attendance, so it's very difficult to take a consent. So on that time there is a 4 doctor or higher authority sign is mandatory, so that is ethical issue. Next is to be brain death controversy. Acceptance or very culturally and religiously. So a patient have different religion and they have to be sent such organ towards the other religion patient. So there is a controversy in Indian constitution, so they have to make a consent form and sign for higher authority for sending him such organ towards the other person. So that is the organ transplantation whole overview. Thank you.